Good evening. It's another Monday night of bees all day. Hope everybody had a good weekend, recovered from Nobby. Y'all come on in here. We're ready to talk. Hey, Tom, you need feeling better? Hey, Brad. Hey, I didn't get to ask you last time, Brad. Did that coat fit? Is it doing all right? Roy? David Hoskins. Hello, how are you this evening? Dodd House, how's everybody at your place? Glad to see everybody showing up. How's the weather at y'all's places? Good. I'm glad you like it, Brad. There's Mr. Charlie.
Hey, hey.
How are you this evening?
Oh, not too bad.
That's good. Hey, Mike. Jonathan, how's everybody?
All right, now we're at.
Snowing in Elk Mountain, Wyoming. Ah, that's what I love to hear. It's snowing somewhere else besides here.
It's melted today.
Yeah, a little bit. The parking lot actually cleared itself off today. I'm happy about that. So I don't have to go.
I scraped off of a little bit of stuff yesterday around my car where they parked, and everything else is nice and clear now.
That's a good thing, man.
Until the weekend.
Yeah, till the weekend.
Oh, that's
Hey, Kathy B.
Hey, Kathy.
High today, 0 tomorrow, Wednesday. That sounds kind of cold out there, Tom. Sounds kind of cold. It's a little chilly here tonight. It's supposed to go down to 20. So, but it's going to be in the 30s tomorrow again. We were in the high 30s today.
Now, why is hey, Sandy. What's the YouTube icon on the do you see that? Maybe not.
On the bees all day?
No, it's on the I'm switching things around here. I guess it's on the StreamYard and all that. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I just took your thumbnail, I guess you call it, and shared it out through my Facebook page or to all the different groups that I belong to.
Okay. Hey, James, how are you? Flower Street.
Hey, Brian. That's good, Brian. All you have to do is get the money in and everything's good.
There you go. That's all you got to do.
Well, Saturday I went out and I got myself a new phone. So, hey, Kate, Brad. Yeah, I guess they will. 20 degrees down in Louisiana. I think they'll go in shock down there.
They might. They might very well go in shock down there. They don't know how to handle that kind of cold, do they?
And so anyway, I went out Sunday, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock. I with my new phone, I was able to hook up my new infrared camera that I got.
Uh-oh.
And Really works nice. I got a kind of, it's got a, I don't know what you call it, a platelet or whatever, where you can get about a dozen different colorizations
Yep.
depending on what you're trying to do. Like they had one called jungle and one called iron, which the iron is more like the normal one that you see, which is the red and the white heat, and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I went out there and I took a bunch of photographs with it, or picked stills, I guess you would call it. And then the biggest problem I have with my glasses, that they turn really super dark, and all that kind of crazy stuff. And it was hard to hey Andrew. Hey Carl. Anyway, it's the one that Phil the Bee Man was showing on his video, comparing to Flare model and the one I've got.
Yeah.
Which is what is it called? A Thermal Master is what it's called.
Yeah.
The resolution is way better than Flare ever thought about being. You can see the defining image of the bee box landing board. Yeah. I was just playing with it. I've got and I couldn't see, I could see the one thing. I said, all right, let's take a picture. I could see that part of. You can't see the wording coming up, at least my glasses on, because it was bright and there was 4 inches of snow on the ground. And so I hit the round circle, which I found out, once I got in the house where I could see, that was the video. And I had bees Sunday at the entrance hanging out, and a few of them crawling around and flying kind of like right in front of the hive. And that thermal imaging with the video, you can see the bee flying in midair, and also the bees at the entrance and the ones that are kind of crawling around up on the face of the box and everything. And all that kind of stuff. And so that was interesting. There's a guy, I think it was him. I think I read his bio. He's going to be at our state meeting. He's also an inspector for the state bee inspector, one of them. And his background is infrared technology. So he was stating, like, when I was out there, hey, Nancy, that, you don't want to be out there using this when the bee box surface has been heated up by the sun. So it gives you a incorrect heat signature, which I think I might have been getting some of that. Had one nuke there, looked like it was dead. I opened it up and I pulled one of the boxes off, and yeah, they were down in there. And it was warm enough. It was 40 some degrees. And then I just had to open up one 10 framer. All they did was take the little block off the vent hole in the inner cover. And yeah, they were there. They were like boiling out of there. They were like, let me out of here and all that. So I put the insulation back up, and I was done for that, But, I mean, the phone, I've been tweaking it for the last 2 days. And all that. I am not an old timer there, Brian, that's for sure. At least I don't feel that way.
Yeah, you don't feel that way, but I got told in no uncertain terms the other day I was an old man.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. I found that normally infrared cameras I've been watching for several years, and they're, $300, $350, $400. And this one here, not on sale, was $250, and I got it. I happened to hit it where it was a Christmas discount, and I bought it for $189. And then
Yeah.
with the new phone, it's got a heavy duty case on it. So it does come with a wire about, I don't know, let's say 12 inches long. So I plugged the wire in and I got the phone on the end of the wire and kind of hold the phone and the camera with the wire on it at the right, trying to get it, up and down with the orientation with a picture.
Yeah.
So it worked out well. So what's happening, Nancy?
Hey, Nancy.
Oh, not a whole lot. Hello, hello.
What
I went down through.
did you change a camera, Nancy?
No,
Okay, the camera looks good.
I don't. It's the same compute laptop. It's my only option, actually. I mean, I guess I could do it from my phone, but then I wouldn't see the chat or nothing like that. But so I went down through my yard today, took the dog for a walk, and I popped, I guess, maybe 4 lids, 4 sections, and some were up there. And then some I had to like peel the layers, the fondant, get into the wrap it around and look, still didn't see any. So of course now I'm nervous on that one. And then one, they were coming out of the lid of the wrap it around. So they were all wrapped up in the burlap because I put burlap in there. So that wasn't good. They were roaring. So they're hungry. So I'm hoping, I don't know when we're gonna get a day to do any
Not
sort
anytime
of.
soon, from what I can see.
I know.
I think, well, I think they said something about Friday or Saturday, but
We have
it looked
rain.
like to me that what was it? Something about Friday or Saturday it's supposed to rain or it's supposed to snow or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
I don't know what it's gonna do here. I don't know where my phone is to even look right now. But so yeah, I'm thinking I need at least a 40. Oh, I like a 45 day to go
Yeah,
in
definitely a
and
45 day.
putz
Yeah.
with them in the top there. I mean, I wouldn't be exposing them, only just that little, 2-inch, but still, yeah. So I don't know. I know I lost 2 5-framers so far, which are not a surprise. Those were doomers going in, but anyway. Bill, is there any news on my in-hive feeder thing?
I passed along your comments
Yeah,
to Andy as well as to Motherlode, and they're both working on them.
cool.
So once we get
Yeah,
them, we'll have 2 prototypes to look at.
yeah. Oh, I know. Not, and people have not caught their breath from the snowstorm and the expo. So
No, I know.
yeah, people are still getting their wits about them from that, I think.
Yep. So I got sent a video today by a friend of mine, JT Barry, down in Elkton, Virginia, and he's on here. Barry Kind Bees, if y'all see him, say hey. He uses exclusively my Enel hives, and he had bees flying today. So did I. So
That's kind of unusual. Usually I find them where insulated hives, the quick change of temperatures isn't felt by those bees being insulated. They usually takes them a while to get out of those hives.
yeah, but it's that Enel hive. Those bees will fly when the ones in the wooden hives are clustered. So
Well, that's sort of understandable. I mean, because the ones who are in the wood, they're still cold.
yeah, yep, and that tells me that those hives are doing what they're supposed to do, creating that heat dome at the top. So yeah, he swears by them, I swear by them. So, but hives are personal preference, I guess. The bees don't care as long as they got a box, right?
Yeah, but I've used the insulated that license hive. I had that 1/6 frame nuke, and they're nice. I have to say. I mean, the bees are kept in there very nice
Oh,
and all.
so I want to present something, or I want to learn how to do that. So can I just hit present, Charlie, down here?
Yeah, you
Or
can.
does Bill have to
Nope,
clear me or something? Or
you
Yeah,
can
you
hit
can do
present,
it.
and then whatever you want to present, it's going to give you a choice of screens, and you
yeah,
just pick it and go with it.
slides and PDFs. Okay. All right. I'll just sit in the back and click buttons for now. Hmm.
You have to have whatever it is you're going to present open
Yeah.
so you can find it. Is it a picture or something? You have to unmute yourself.
So I can't
Tom,
unmute myself. So I found what I was doing. Like I think I figured it out, but I cannot mute or unmute myself when I was in that section of presenting. So I was listening, I could hear you, but so yeah, so I'm gonna try and I don't know what I have, a picture of my hive. I don't know. I just want to learn how to do it.
All right. Well, when
Because I
you
want people
click on present, then you have 3 choices, and you should click on share screen.
yeah.
yeah.
And then
So I
once
got
you
that
hit,
far. No. Hmm?
then once you do that, if you have something open, it should come up in another window or whatever.
Yeah.
It says Chrome
Yeah.
tab or something like that. I mean, I'm kind of going through the motions myself.
Yeah, because I want tomorrow I want Big Mike. Is Big Mike on?
I
Yeah.
haven't seen him yet.
Seen him yet. I have a question for Tom out in Ohio. I got a friend request from Antonio Monzurio CERNA. I don't know where he lives. He lives in Saskatchewan. I guess that's Saskatchewan. I guess it's in Canada. Does do we? Does he come on the thing? I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen some new people on here lately. So
Well, I've gotten since Nabi. I've gotten a dozen or more tonight. I asked my friend at least a half a dozen people. I know Dodd Honey was one of them. No, that's not it.
all right, now you got to pick what you want to present, Nancy. Oh,
Yeah, that's not what you want.
no, that's not what you want to do. So Tom called today, and I had a real good conversation with him.
Who?
Tom,
Tom. Oh, from Matt.
via honeybees.
Okay. Hey, Matt.
I haven't seen Keith or Philip tonight.
Phil might be coming a little bit later.
Yeah.
So Charlie, if I close my StreamYard, will that close the other YouTube?
I mean, what do you?
Are
So if
you
I
on
close
YouTube or StreamYard?
StreamYard, will I leave the studio part on my
So if
You
you
can
computer.
leave,
flip back and forth between this and YouTube.
Sorry.
There's Keith. She disappeared.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just got a hold. Shucks.
Keith just came in here. Frame feeders all the way, Tiny Creek.
I'm not a frame feeder fan.
You like your top feeders, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of depends, I guess, what we're all used to.
Yeah. It's again, feeders are personal preference. Again, it's whatever you like. I was open feeding with buckets there for a while.
I
And,
never.
Hi,
I would
Keith.
put the bucket in the middle of the field, so they had to go to it. So it wasn't around the hives. So what we did, Tiny Creek, is when you turn that bucket upside down, you see those pockets around that are close to the rim. We would take like an 1/8-inch drill bit and drill holes in every other one, but not the ones closest to the handle because it'll leak. So we drilled holes in every other one. It gave us a total of like 8 to 10 holes in it, and that's how we did it when we turned them upside down. So, and it worked. It fills those pockets, and then as the bees drink it down, it just keeps filling those pockets back.
Oh, hi, Tom. I'm finally catching up with the comments. I'm sure, Tom, you've commented a lot. And there's JW.
Yeah.
Who's running via honeybees? Is that you, Melissa, or Tom? Or Tom and Melissa, or Melissa and Tom? Who is the one you can tolerate the cons of the most? Good point, Brian. Good point. Yeah, I like my rapid rounds. That's why I want to get something a little different.
Now you want your rapid squares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what do we call them?
Rapid squares.
No, we can't use rapid squares.
Oh, Bill, back to that. Sorry, I don't need to bring it up again, but I put my mediums on top, my super boxes. I take the frames out, and that's the between. So that thing could be what, 6 inches tall? You know what
I
I
don't
mean?
know that you want it 6 inches tall.
No, I know. Right. But it
I
could.
told Andy about 3 inches.
Yeah, I know. But I just wanted to tell you that on the side about, we could really, it could go up or
Yeah.
find an
So,
adapter.
so Bill, Berry Kind Bees, is that the folks who were with you at the booth?
Yes. No, that's not who was at the booth with me. That was Judith and Barry. They're from Elkton as well. Berry Kind Bees is like Elkton, McAkeesville area. He's right here. Come on in here, JT. Quit being bashful.
I got him down as Matt Massanutten.
Yeah, that's he lives in that area. Yes.
Oh, hi, Lee. Hello, Lee. Can Lee just pop on here? Like, you know how he just comes out of nowhere? The wizard
Yeah,
just all of a
he
sudden
can come in.
shows up. How does he
Anybody
do
can
that?
come in. Come on, Lee.
Yeah, Lee, how do you do that anyway?
Pop in. Come like wizarding. Uh-oh. I shouldn't be making up words.
Hey, Dinah.
Okay. B-Max. I like the B-Max Hive Top
Yeah,
feeder.
Dinah is a friend of mine in
The
the
blue
Baltimore Bee.
ones?
Huh?
Are they blue? Are they like blue ball, like blue? Oh boy. Are they like blue? The B-Max?
No, that's Be Smart.
Oh, right. What's the B-Max? I have a
Be Max is
catalog here.
that's a Dedant product.
I just got this fancy. Oh, I don't know how I got this. This fancy
Beeline.
Line.
You bought
yeah.
something from them.
That's the
Then
Amish
just send you a
folks.
catalog.
Not this year. Not this year. I spent very, very little money down there this year. But anyway, so this is kind of cool. And then I also had, well, I picked up this from the show. The
25.
Better be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
took
So I'm
one
doing
of
my
them
Excel
yesterday.
sheet with different companies and running across what I use just to see, you know, who's where with pricing. But what was that? Be a feeder. I'm gonna look this up. Feeders.
Now,
Open right up to the page.
Dinah, she's a nuke producer.
B Max.
I opened to the feeder page.
Yep, that
So I don't
ultimate
know
top,
which one.
that ultimate feeder, that blue one, that's a Be Smart.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I'm reading it. Um, ultimate. Oh, I don't know. They don't have it. I wonder if Better Be does.
Um,
Ryan, I'm not on here. I don't see him anywhere. Let's see. I'm in boy, Better Be's prices. Hey, they're a little they're a little
hey, Randy. Can't see it.
that's all Better Be has for feeders or the types.
Yeah, everybody's got them, different ones.
Yeah, everybody carries different feeders.
Hey, Jeff.
Oh, here's another page of feeders. Yeah. I used buckets this year more than any other
He said,
year, and I
Dinah
really
says
liked
it's,
them.
yeah, Dinah says it's from Better Be.
Ah,
So, Dinah,
right.
are you in Florida right now? It's the white one, she said.
Then I was sub to you, just had to sub again. Oh, I hear you, Lee. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. So what's Gary say? Stuart, here, I have one of those foam top feeders. The thing I don't like about it is if you fill it, it's hard to remove. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta wedge it up and throw it away
yep,
from the hive
yeah, it's styrofoam.
and then water it down because they'll be robbing.
Yep.
Or just leave it on.
that's what I found with the licensed feeders, the top eye feeders, the brown ones. They're plastic and they kind of flimsy. And then that's why I went when after so many years, when they kind of perfected the Man Lake ones, I went ahead and started getting them.
Yeah.
All right,
But the Better Bee stuff was originally the Dant product.
Well, Dinah, I let you know I finally I found myself an infrared camera for my phone, so I'm playing with it. I guess I'll have to call you up or see you Thursday night on the meeting night and talk to you about how to use the thing.
There you go.
Now she does pictures of her stuff. I think she sold, I don't know, 100 nukes or something this past year.
Will yours let you take pictures?
Yeah, mine takes pictures. I got hooked up to my new phone. It takes pictures. It takes videos, infrared. I have one little video there. It's a little short thing, and you see the bee flying around in the midair. It's that,
Yeah.
and the clear. That's what I get over it is compared to the other ones. The pixel clarity of you can see the box and the handles, and it's sharp, like it's just a colorized version of your box, like a regular picture. But everything else, you can see all the bees clustering in the bottom at the entrance, moving around in the video part, and then this one flying around, and then one landing on a box and stuff like that.
Cool.
So I just have to know when's the best time to video and get the most accurate heat sense readings and stuff like that. But the biggest problem right now trying to learn this phone, set it up the way I like it.
So what's the name of the
Somebody
camera again?
Somebody just talked about that. Hold on a second, Charlie. Sorry, Bill. Charlie, you just mentioned something about what's the best time of day. Did someone ask that in the chat? For the flare? The best
Early in the
time of the day?
morning. Early in the
Somebody
morning
just
before the
did.
sun comes up.
Dinah says 2 hours after dark.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it 2 hours after dark too, but you don't want sun on them, and you want to get them before the sun warms that box up. So it's
Probably at nighttime, just anytime at nighttime, right? Because then all the false heat.
God says when it's cloudy. Now today, probably in the morning would have been perfect because it was overcast.
Yeah, when the ambient temperature isn't reflected.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, someone just talked about that. I don't know if it was who would that have been? I don't know if it was Mr. Ed. Was it Randy?
Now Lee says teaching the old dog new tricks. Well, I can still jump up in the air.
Stop it, Lee.
I got videos of that, so I'm not that old. I'm still a young middle-aged dog.
Lee. Within 10 degrees. So it's Gary saying here, collaborative 10 degrees. You can see the money. Calibrated.
I don't know how to do that.
Before sunrise or after dark. Yeah, see, Tom. I think Tom's right too.
Yeah.
And I think Gary's theory could be okay.
Okay. Well, see, that was the thing, because when I took some pictures with colorization, the wooden racks was red. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. That has to be surface heat from the sun. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So what's the name of the camera, Charlie?
Let's see here.
I'm going to go get some tea. Hold on.
Thermalmaster. Thermalmaster.com. It's number 2. It's the smallest thermal camera on the market. It is, like I say, maybe 1.5 inches square at the most. It's very small.
Yeah, very expensive.
I don't know. I just was not I couldn't see the justification of anywhere from a 300 or up camera.
Do they sell them on Amazon?
Now I went directly to the website.
Yeah, I was just on it. It's $249.
Yeah, it went up in price. It was on
Yeah.
sale when I got mine. All right, Gary. I don't think mine does that.
Yeah, they got them on Amazon.
Same price.
No, cheaper.
Well, anyway, that's something new for me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can't beat it. You know, if you're gonna do that kind of stuff with your bees, yeah, you can't beat it.
Well, it's just instead of me having to, open the hives up, I can kind of get an idea what's going on.
Yep.
So, but anyway, so how was Virginia down there at what was it? The Virginia State meeting?
Farmville, it was Heart of Virginia's conference, and they allowed us to hold our elections, which we're very grateful to Heart of Virginia for doing. And they had a couple really good speakers, and it was a nice conference, so hats off to them for letting us do it. So
Did you get any snow down there?
we did on Friday night. We went down Friday night, and I'd say they got 3 or 4 inches of snow down there on Friday night. And of course, it was late in the evening when it snowed. We didn't get much sleep at all Friday night because snowplows running through there all the time and keeping us awake. But, hey, it is what it is. You're in somebody else's house, right?
Yeah, I was reading Max. I use no snow covering the entrance as bees
Excuse me.
alive melted back. I think Max saying is he doesn't.
He doesn't clean his entrances.
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't do that either.
Yeah.
It keeps the cold air out, gives them some water to drink.
Yep.
And I went out there the one we had that snow, and I left them on there, and I think a day or two later I went back out there, everything was clean as a whistle.
Yep.
But so anyway, who was speaking down or anything? What kind of topics were there?
Ryan Williamson was talking about his ongoing project with creating a line of queens that are VHS, and Phoebe Snyder gave a talk down there. And
she was at Nobby, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Wilson talked about mites.
What did Phoebe talk about? Was it drones or something? Or hive beetles?
I don't know. I didn't attend the talk, so.
Pop Nancy back in.
Huh?
Nancy's at the backstage.
You're back, Nancy.
Yeah,
So
I went to get some tea.
It was an okay deal then.
Yeah, it was for a very small conference. It was they did a really good job. They had one of the Guelph instructors there. He was the very first one to speak in the open room. Then he had a couple breakout sessions as well. But all in all, it was very well done. It had, I think, 15 vendors there, and they had live music. It was very well done, very tastefully done, very well done.
Who was the vendors, Or, I mean, I obviously do.
Better Bee was there. Honey in the Hive was there. They had a mead producer there. And then local guy, Paul Tabor out of Lynchburg, was there. Him and his wife. Virginia Cooperative Extension had a booth there. They were handing out mite check jars, alcohol wash jars, and a tub to go with it for free because they did a grant.
Yeah,
And,
our beekeeper for the state of Maryland, I must got the same grant. She was handing them out 6 months ago.
So hey, Lynn. But like I said, it was very tastefully done. The state apiarist gave his update for the year. Of course, his big thing is the yellow-legged hornet. So they've got a new trap out for that because they're trying to figure out if they're up this far or not. So,
Right. Hey, Matt. So is Bill having a microscope class?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I've sent the email to the state entomologist today to get that arranged. So that's going to be part of
it. You got to send it out to the No Life beekeepers and get it around.
I've got to get it arranged with him first to make sure he can do it.
Oh.
And then once
how many are you thinking?
25. So I'm going to have to limit the class to 25.
25.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an all-day class. It starts in the morning. He'll probably start about 8:30, and it's all day until 5 o'clock. It's 2 parts.
That's a lot of information.
It's done in 2 days.
So what do you do with a microscope class? I never took one.
What the microscopy class does is they start off teaching you about the microscope, the basics of the microscope, and how to use it. And they have prepared slides, and you are able to see what you're going to be looking for when you dissect your bee. So, and then in the afternoon, they teach you how to dissect the bee and get the trachea out of it. You're looking for tracheal mite because unless you have a lot of biology background, that's about the only thing you're ever going to see is that. So looking for AFB, EFB, spores, or things like that, you got to really know what they look like to see them. So, and there's so many labs around, even the state lab, USDA lab, or a private lab that you can take your bee samples to for them to do this with. The microscope that you need to do it is not that expensive, but it could be a barrier to somebody that is operating on a shoestring budget.
Well, I mean, when it comes to tracheal mites, I think you don't hear too much of a problem.
No, it's not that big of a problem anymore. But I was talking to Tom this morning. We were talking about it. That was part of the conversation I had with Tom. And I mean, if you're interested in doing something like that, well, by all means, buy a microscope and do it. But, they're getting so now they use these electronic microscopes. So I bought 2 of them for the grafting class, handheld LCD microscopes for the grafting class. So
yeah, I'm going to be there on that for sure.
Yeah. I think Darren's coming too, isn't he?
He said he wanted to come. Wasn't that far?
Yeah. So
would people bring their own microscopes, Bill? Like, is that a thing? Do you pack your microscope up and travel with it, or how does that work?
No, they bring 25 microscopes.
Gotcha.
Or as many as that are working. They bring those, they set them up around the room, and they teach you how to use them.
Neat.
So, and of course, I've got
that in here
75-inch screen in the education room.
Yeah.
So he can plug a microscope into his laptop and cast it up to the screen so you can see it.
Hey, Darren.
Hey,
You know-
Darren.
You know Darren, do you? I don't know Darren. He must be new for me.
You must be-
Yeah, Darren, Pennsylvania beekeeper. I think is one. He said he was going to come. I'm definitely coming.
Yeah.
Jeff wants to know what I thought of the Slovenian style hives. I seen them there. I looked at them. See, what was it? 2019. I went to Knoxville and they had a gal from that had those who goes to over there to that country where they have them a lot. And I watched what's his name from over there in Brittany, France? What's the guy that's on YouTube?
Richard Noel.
Richard Knoll. He had a friend over in Hawaii and they did several videos on that where they actually had a portable hive system of maybe 10 hives on a trailer. And she was demonstrating how, you pull the frames out like a card. And you had to have, like, if you wanted to brush the bees off, there was like a little chute that you brush them down in the chute, which go back into the hive, stuff like that. And the other thing I found is management to me I'm not used to what they do. And it's looked to me like a nightmare because you got this great big hive and you got, I think, either 2 or 3 sections tall in it. And you got to be constantly in there. It's kind of like having a nuke box. You got to be pulling brood out or they're going to swarm on you.
Yeah, it's
and
like
well, it's like, where does the honey, I guess they build honey up in the top part of that hive.
Yep.
And it seemed like to me that you really had to micromanage that thing more so than what the Langstroth was. So that's the other thing. I mean, it's like with me and the flare camera, the infrared camera. It's something to play with your bees and that kind of stuff.
Well, you always say beekeeping is a big science experiment. So, people need to try new things. So, Gary, I know for sure you have, for the Sivan 312, you can get 3 laying hives frames in there, but you have to trim the corners. And Sivan, I had a meeting with the manufacturer down at Nobby, and they are going to create a basket attachment to fit the laying hives in their 312 extractors. So it's coming. A lot of people are using them, so it's coming. So just kind of hang on there for a bit.
Tiny
Creek had a good question too.
Yeah, that's Andrew.
Yeah. Are you going to sell queens commercially, or are you going to just use them for yourself?
His plan is to requeen every year.
Yeah. So come on in here a minute. Tiny Creek, come on the screen. So we can talk about your question.
Yeah, that would be easier. Let me get a drink.
While we're waiting on your friend, I want to parlay to Matt from Sandy. I don't know if he's still on Sandy Valley. He mentioned that he wanted to get away from in-hive feeders. And I was curious. I do not use in-hive feeders, but I was just curious what his thought process was. Or why he was wanting to get rid of them. In-hive frame. Yeah, I saw it over in the comments way back, and I wanted to ask, but we were talking about something. And now while we're just waiting here, I was thinking about, I don't know if he's still on. Matt, are you there? Come in. Or let's talk about that.
All right.
And I think
Tiny-
I know, because he's going frame breeders,
There he is,
like
right there.
Apple. Now you want to get rid of them, or you want to have more of them? See, I can't use them, or I choose not to use them because I'm already 8 frames. So if I take, might be compromising brood, but
He's
I
going to
would
come in
would
shortly. He said he's coming in shortly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So when you get down to feeders, it's personal preference. Actually, it's not. It's
Sure.
no one true. One's better than the
Yeah,
other.
exactly.
Personal
The
preference.
feeders have to be user friendly. Like the
Yes.
user has to think they're friendly
Yes.
in order for there to be a working relationship. That's what I
Yeah.
found. That's why I like my rapid rounds.
Yeah.
Or rapid squares.
And then there was something in here. Gary Stewart.
Yeah.
Yes, every treatment is required by the EPA to have instructions on them for use for a standard box. That is correct. That statement is 100% true.
Timer.
You're fine, Tiny Creek. I understand you're on baby duty. I get it. Congratulations on the new one.
Okay, queen ring. Well, let's go back to his question.
Let's go back to
I don't know.
queen
I don't do queens. I know nothing on the subject.
So
I would be mute.
how many are you planning on rearing a year? That's going to play a part in how many hives you use to do this. Because if you're going to sell queens, you might want to plan on finishing up all your splits and growing your apiary first. And then doing queen rearing. If you're going to do it just for yourself and you're not going to sell them and you're not going to give them away because you're going to do it every year just for you, you can get away with one cell builder, and people don't really use finishers anymore. So depending upon how many cells you drop for yourself every year, you'll need that many small mating nucs because you're going to drop them all at the same time, and they're all going to be ready to hatch at the same time. So you're going to need that many mating nucs. So you're going to need to.
Yeah, I know for myself, I'm using queens for myself, and I'll sell a few. I'm not trying to sell 100 of them and that kind of stuff. Hey, Grammy.
Hey, Grammy.
And all that. So I have about 32 frame mating boxes that I made up.
Yeah.
2 frames okay. Sometimes I would thought of maybe 3 frames, but by the time you do 3 frames and make the boxes yourself, then it's kind of like, well, you're only 2 frames from a 5 frame.
Yeah, you might as well make 5.
You might as well just buy a 5 frame box if you don't want to build them, and put a follower board or something in there, and then you got the advantage of either just letting that hive, if you wanted that hive and it's at the right location, you can let that hive expand in that nuke box and then just build that hive up with multiple nukes like I do. And then once they get up 5/5 or something of that nature, you can drop them into a 10 frame box.
Yep.
Does that have volume? Oh, here you go. Okay.
Who is this?
I heard her squeaking.
So Bill, can you turn up the volume?
No. It's individual. It's Pippi.
So that's a queen piping.
Yeah, she's piping.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it. I'm half deaf and I can hear it.
How do I do this? So she goes completely still.
Yep.
Like I don't have the volume, I can't hear it, but I know when she pipes because she goes, in order to
Completely
vibrate
still.
her thorax. They all freeze.
Yep. They all stop.
Yeah. So I tried to attach that to my account through YouTube, and it wouldn't play or something. But I put it on there. A lot of people for like clubs and stuff want to use that.
Yeah.
So you can use it, just credit me or don't. I mean, I don't know. Oh, Brian's wearing headphones. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful and clear. I got lucky that day. I
Yeah.
think that was
So this is you.
2022.
This is you, Nancy.
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
me. That's my queen. Oh, yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, holding the frame in my phone.
Yeah. So, as far as mating nukes go, you can either do what Charlie was suggesting, or you can kind of cheap out. And I say cheap out, but um, you can put them in the mini mating nukes and then move them directly into big hives that you're going to requeen when they come back mated. Um, I can tell you that if you've never grafted before and you do 10 cells, you might get one that will take. But don't be discouraged. If you're a beginner and you get one to take, that's a success. So you got to look at it like that. So you'll get better as you go, because first time grafting is hard until you get the muscle memory built up with your fingers and your hand, and getting your sight. You got to be able to see it. And I like the way Charlie puts it. If you just see royal jelly there, that's the larva you want to get. So, and he's right. That's the one you want to get.
Yeah, I mean, when I went down there and what's the fella out in Kentucky? The Queen.
Yeah.
Um, shoot.
Don't ask me to remember his name, because I'll never remember it.
Kentucky?
Yeah, he's out there in Western Kentucky.
Yep.
Master beekeeper. He was Hive Life. Kent Williams.
Oh. Oh, wow. Okay, a couple years ago.
I went down to, well, before Hive Life, there was a thing called the Honey Show in Knoxville on the 2019, and Kent was teaching grafting down there.
Yep.
And after about 10 minutes, I mean, we actually did live grafting. They brought, because of the weather condition, they could bring live hives in that they just pulled the frames, shook the bees off of them, and we were grafting right out of hives. And for that purpose, we were trying to find the smallest larvae just to practice grafting. And we had a couple different, and he had, grafting tools and stuff. And so about 10 minutes, and it was like, this is no big deal. Now, one thing I did bring my reading glasses, and I brought my my magnification unit that I had, because I was getting myself set up for it. Yeah. And that's one thing you have to learn yourself. When you get a magnification unit like a jeweler's mask, they usually have a group of different powered lenses. You kind of have to figure out that yourself as far as depth of perception when you're using magnification in order to graft it properly.
Yep.
And he was showing his technique on how to use the Chinese grafting tool and all that. Then later in that class, he was trying to tell us, I'll say, more of a mathematical way of figuring out what age larvae that you are trying to find. And he was talking about, well, find wherever these eggs are, put a mark on your frame, and then come back in 3 days. We tried to do that. Hi, Matt.
Nancy, Bill.
I tried to do that, and I came back, and of course, you don't know you think it's day one, but you know, it's so many hours of variance there. I came
Yep.
back with them. Those larvae were too big. They're just way too big. So by just experience from myself, I mean, I go out there with these, well, not these glasses, but my normal, these are my readers. I go out there in the hive with my regular glasses on, and I figured it out. Oh, you got eggs, and then there's just larvae. Can't see anything, and then you start seeing the larvae floating in the jelly. Well, they're too old, even though they're minute and small. If
That's
you
too
can
old.
see them, they're too old.
Yep.
And now that means that's my eyes. Whereas if you get like a guy I had as a mentee, and he's at 20 years old, 22 years old, and I said, here's my magnification unit. And he says, I don't need that. I said, you got to be kidding me. And he says, sure enough. And he would go down and I said, you graph this bar of 15 and I'll graph my bar of 15. Well, when, 6 days later, guess who had 100% acceptance?
He did.
He did.
The kid
And
with the good eyes.
I had about an 80 or 90%,
Yeah.
but he didn't need I said, you got to be kidding me. You could actually see them eggs. Yeah. So
Yeah, you want to get the egg just as they fall over. And that's when you
they got
want
to hatch,
Yeah, the egg falls over, and when you see it with a slight curl to it, it's hatched. That's a larva, and that's what you want.
So I come up with my own way of doing it, and that's like see the jelly, can't see nothing in the jelly. Bees don't put jelly in a cell unless there's a larvae there.
Yep.
And that's that's the best way I can explain it to anybody to get the right age and all that.
Yep.
So
we had a lot grafting class last year that I did for the club, just because they just wanted to experience the experience of doing it, and they grafted 20 cells, and they had one take out of 20 cells.
well, I had mine better than that.
Yeah, well, they had never done it before, and this was like a half day, three-quarters of a day class, and because we didn't get a chance to meet before we had the class, and they showed up, and the brood frame they had, it wasn't really ideal. So they had, out of 20 cells, they had one take. And the girl was so happy that it took, she couldn't believe it. So
it's a magical moment, if you graft a cell and you see that they actually drew it down and started on it. That's like you had a hand in Mother Nature's process almost somehow.
Yes, exactly.
I know just from the little bit that I did this last year in my attempts, the first 3 rounds were utterly horrible in different ways. Mainly being lack of population needed. It's almost underestimated how many bees it actually takes to draw cells like that. Given how many you're trying to actually create, I think really determines, the cell builder size needed. If it's a smaller operation like me, I wasn't doing it much more than a really strong single, and doing the double screen board, kind of the Bob Binney method with the queen right. And you're up on top of the double screen.
Yeah. Now, for me, I always did it. I did the queenless nuke. I can get 30. Let's say I'll do 30 cells, which is 2 bars.
Yep.
On one frame, and I'll put that in a 5-frame nuke.
And just stuffed full of bees.
Well, that's why I'm going to Bill's class.
Yep.
I want a way to proceed. I like procedures.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you do, bang, 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 bang. And you should have achievement of what you're trying to do. And my thing is that I've learned how to graft.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out how, like with me and my description of if it's jelly in the cell, but you can't see nothing, that's the one you want.
Right.
And of course, the earlier on in the year, the better you'll find them kind of frames. Later
Yeah.
in the year is harder to find them frames unless you're feeding that hive that you want to graft from. And there's
Yeah.
plenty, because the less nectar and stuff, the less jelly. You'll get down to the part in the latter part, let's say around July, you'll just have a dab of jelly in there with a larvae just sitting on top of it. Whereas in the beginning of the year, that larvae is floating in a great big swimming pool of jelly, and then everybody talks about picking up a larvae and how hard it is. And I'm like, well, my thought on that is this: if you're using a German grafting tool, that's where you're picking up the larvae only.
Yeah.
And that I've not done that. And whereas a Chinese grafting tool, as long as the tongue on it is pliable and flexible, you're not picking up the larvae. You're picking up the jelly that the larvae happens to be laying on.
Yeah.
So your likelihood of success is better, because a larvae, if think of it as a banana, and on either side of the banana there's a door or a window, and that's the way that larvae breathe. So if you flip the banana over and that side had their door open for breathing, they can't close it quick enough, and you'll drown that larvae before the other one opens up. So when you pick up the jelly and it's laying on top of your jelly, the top of there's a door there that they're breathing that way. And then when you lay it, and I don't know, I guess I'm more mechanical minded person. You go down and you put your tongue of your hive, Chinese hive tool in the bottom of that cup, kind of put it over there next to the other wall, and then you reverse it as you're pulling the tongue across and up. You hold it like this, and you use this as like a big pin, pushing down the plunger, which scoots it off of that tongue, and you're scooting it off as you're coming up. And as soon as you come off the floor, that jelly all should be scooted right off, just like scooting off a piece of lumber off your bed of your truck and pulling forward at the same time. It takes a while to do it, but that's for me, if I can think about it in that way, it does better for me.
Yeah, the guy that grafts for me, he's got a tray that sets it up at a 30-degree angle. And he's got a light that comes down over it, and he pulls that tray up here next to him, and he's right down here on the frame, and he's just like this the whole time.
Who's that?
The guy that does my grafting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get in a rhythm. I know that it probably took me, my first bar probably took me 15 minutes to fill up 12 cups. If I didn't roll one, I would, as soon as you flip her over, the spiracles are covered and she drowns in that pool. So, from what my understanding, the bees actually breathe through the sides, through those spiracles on both sides, kind of like a lateral line on a fish in a sense, that goes down. And I know that just by looking and just barely being able to see, Charlie, like what you're saying in that pool of royal jelly, it's really easy to roll them, and you're going to roll more of them than you get in there flat and not heavy.
Yeah.
I think you're rolling with more of with a German grafting tool, because you're trying to hook them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like scratching or tapping your head and rubbing your belly. You got to kind of be able to think of ones. I would also go down and think, I needed to plunge it. No, you don't plunge it. You just get it on that pool, and one plunge is in the cup. And that took me a while to figure that out. Then on fresh comb, Keenan Reynolds did a great video where he would actually just mash the comb down around the egg that he wanted, or the larva that he wanted to scoop up. And that fresh comb is pretty brittle, in that sense. So I found myself kind of getting a little too rough.
But there's these tweaky things that you got to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the Yeah, you got
They-
there's these little
You might-
itsy bitsy doesn't sound like much, but it means a big lot as far as successful-ability. First thing
Yeah.
you got to learn to do is you got to take that there Chinese grafting tool and you got to stick it in your mouth and you got to suck on it. And,
Hand it
and
down,
you
too.
got to try to use your tongue, your personal
Nightly.
tongue. Huh?
Good
Legal?
night, Lee.
Nightly. And
Nightly.
you need to curl the blade of that Chinese grafting tool around. Basically, you want that tongue to have a natural curve to it. So
Mhm.
it does this in the cup.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you'll let it hang out of your mouth, it curves that blade of that tool, and then the heat and the saliva from your tongue warms it up and makes it kind of stay in that position. And the
Mhm.
your saliva, it makes it sticky,
Yep.
and you can pick up that jelly. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the tongue is on an angle like that. And when you go down there, it's like holding a pencil with your two fingers, and then you using this that's the pusher on
Yep.
the what's it called, Bill? The plunger? No, it's not the.
Yeah.
Mhm. Plunger.
What's the
Yeah.
term?
The plunger.
The
Yeah.
plunger. And you keep bringing that thing up as the tongue is coming up. You're pushing the plunger all at the same time in one fell motion, and
Mhm.
it'll slide that thing right off of there.
Yeah.
And all that, and that I've learned to do all that. It's setting up that cell builder where, hey, but Will,
Hey guys.
I will.
where
Well,
I've talked to some different people. You can't do it on a whim. You have to plan to set that cell builder up, from what I'm gathering. Like,
yes, you do.
you've got to put your emergency brood in there. And like for me, all right, I'm going to have, I can have let's say up to 12 nukes. So there's my resource hives. I can set up the cell builder. I've heard to say, now Bill can say whether or not you set it up like a couple weeks ahead of time to get that brood emerged.
Yep.
And then if you want to shake more nurse bees in, if you have nukes that are available, I bring up open larvae, and then I put a queen. Let's say you bring up 2 frames in each, like 3 nukes. You can bring that up, put a queen excluder in, put that box on top. Within 15, 20 minutes, those things are fully covered with, nurse bees.
Yep.
It takes, to me, I don't like guesswork. I want a procedure that takes the guesswork out of the equation.
Right.
There's my nurse bees. Now I can take those and shake them in that cell builder. But getting all
Yep.
that different things to where it's just right. That's why I'm taking his class.
Yeah.
You
So
And then
When
Bill
we
also
buy
has a couple
Chinese
different, from talking to him, he also has a couple different ways of doing all this.
yeah.
And it's always good to know 2 or 3 different ways to do that kind of stuff.
So when we buy Chinese grafting tools, we buy 50 count bags,
Mhm.
and we get 10, 15, 20 bags at a time. And out of each bag, we might get 4 or 5 tools that are usable.
Yep. I
Because
agree.
either the bamboo is too thick, or it's too wide, or it's close but not close enough. And those are the ones you put in your mouth and chew on for a little bit to try to get that curve and keep them wet. And then you got to make a decision on them whether you think they'll work or not. But it's trial and error and
Yes.
learning, because I'll keep 3 tools in my mouth at one time and I'm using a 4th one.
Yeah, don't
So-
maybe it's the carpenter in me too, but I found that tip, or I heard about it and it worked really well, is get a couple tools that you really like, the way that plunger comes in contact, whether it be bamboo or a little reed.
Yep.
And makes good contact, and then if it's not flexible enough, you can always sand that puppy down just barely and just on a
Yeah,
back,
you just like
just a backstroke and get it like a real thin fingernail. And
like a 1200 grit sandpaper or something.
Yep. And
Just
I
rode it across it a few
Sure.
times.
I kept the one that I liked right there by my radio in my truck, to where I always knew, I had, like you said, a 50 pack or whatever, and there would only be one or two out of that bag that probably passed the ultimate test of me wanting to not waste my time with, setting up
Yeah.
the resources and going through it
Yeah.
all. There's nothing worse than trying all that and then didn't get a single take, and that's just kind of like, man, that was a crummy job. But
Yeah.
that's also how you learn. Obviously I don't have very much experience behind, or under my belt, but I'm also not afraid to make a mistake. And I think that's key for a new beekeeper who wants to try things is, go at it as smart as you can, but ultimately, you're going to fail, but don't be afraid of failing. You just got to learn from the different
Yeah.
things going wrong and come back better the next time. And that's how you'll succeed. But,
Exactly.
I did see
So,
Tiny Creek's comment a little bit earlier before I popped on, and he had asked about how many hives he needed to get, up and going to grow. And my thought was I was going to type it in, but he really only needs one good strong hive in theory in the spring. If it's busting at the seams, he could take that queen with a couple frames to a new location, and depending on the population, he could really do well with the queen cells that hive would make. I think it'd be, we're
Yeah,
under.
Lynn, it's the tongue of the tool, not the tongue of the person.
so
So,
the
I think
the
the
biggest
pretty good queens.
thing that the problem that people have with queen rearing is setting up a cell builder
Yeah.
and deciding what kind of cell builder they're going to set up
Mhm.
and stick with. Because once you set it up, you're stuck with it.
Yeah. And just like Charlie said, there's so many techniques, and I think that's ultimately why it's so overwhelming for a lot of people to get into it or try it, because there's so many different videos on it. There's so many different, ways.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the time of year and the bees wanting to make queens is going to be your best start.
Yeah.
And and then you got nature's way of helping that or hurting that. So even if it's
Yeah.
perfect good temperature, you could have a good week of thunderstorms and rain, and those queens mate horribly. So you can do everything
Right.
not work out. But
Mark,
And humidity. Hey, Mark, humidity plays a big role in it too.
mm-hmm.
your fingernail buffer work. Thin the reed. A four-way
fingernail buffer.
fingernail buffer. Oh, wow.
Yeah, fingernail
block.
file.
Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to raising queens, now Mark there, and he'll be one that'll he'll drop
Yeah.
a deep frame in with about 5 bars on it, at
And
least
get every
4,
one of them.
and get every one of them. He's come on my show in the summertime with beautiful looking queens and stuff.
Yep.
But he's got, huge hives. But that's where I'm lacking is, like Bill says there, you got 2 or 3 different ways of setting up a cell builder. I know
Yeah,
there's queen right, there's queen less, and whatever else.
Yep.
And then how to achieve that. That's the thing. And the biggest complaint I have in most videos is that they'll talk about how to do this or that, but they haven't got it in their mind that step 1 is this, and step 2 is this, and step 3 is this. They've done it so much. They go from step 1 down to step 4 and don't really emphasize the importance of 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, step 2 and step 3, they just kind of go, they don't even talk about it. And you try as a person trying to learn it. Well, you did the step 1 and what he said it's step 4, but you missed the other 2 steps, which were crucial.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that is
teaching.
the
teaching.
problem with teaching of it.
Yeah, the
That's-
teaching. That teacher has a step. Doesn't communicate the steps. It's a teacher that's
Exactly.
lacking.
And the other
teaching
part of
skills,
that, like
perhaps.
Charlie was saying, that they're not teaching you everything, is you get some of these big queen breeders, they don't want to show you everything. Why? I
Mhm.
don't know.
Sales.
And when you go back and ask the question of them, oh, well, that's not important. You don't need to know that. That's why I didn't teach it to you. You do it the way I'm teaching it to you. Yeah, but you're missing this step. What's going to happen when you don't either put the double screen board on there or you don't put a queen excluder on there and she comes up there and kills all your cells?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I watched that Bob Binney, the double screen queen right colony splitting, doing a queen right cell builder. I watched that video just like all his videos a million times, probably 1,000,010. But the one time Steve Sleep he also has a YouTube. It's just, I don't know how well known he is, but somehow I found that on the queen rearing and making splits is the name of his video. But Steve Sleep is the beekeeper's name. And he does the exact same version of Bob Binney's, exact same way. He just explains it just slightly different speed or just slightly differently in whatever way. And watching his video clicked after using, whatever I soaked in from Bob's and then using Steve. It's the exact same technique, same method. But
Is he down in Virginia?
I don't know. I want to say,
Is he a young fella that's
No,
just starting out?
no, this gentleman
no,
is
he's out
probably,
of Saskatchewan.
not even sure if he has any other videos come out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Steve,
Matt, he's the one that
Look over
pushed
that
me over the edge.
But it's extremely
Really?
different. So
We need to have this guy, someone needs to invite this guy to one of our chats because two of you now are talking about the same
Yeah.
person that it clicked.
Yeah.
So somebody
Yeah.
needs to invite
his
him or
name?
tell me who it is and I'll invite him.
yeah,
His handle
it's
is Steve Clifford, actually.
maybe, yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Hi,
Steve.
Tom.
I think. Yeah,
Yep.
Steve Clifford. I'm friends with him on Facebook,
Okay.
and he's out of Saskatchewan.
Okay.
And I agree with you, Matt. He's the one. I watched 1,000,000 of them, and then I finally watched his, and it made it click that he walked
Something
through
about it, like just the delivery of it, and it's all in the teacher. And I'm not saying Bob's not the best teacher in the world. I'm not saying that in the least. But something clicked when I saw that. I saw that at least.
Well,
that
I was at Hive Life, and you had Bob showing his technique, and then you had the guy out of Florida that comes on my show. I can't think of his name right now.
Rick Sutton.
Rick Sutton, and he showed his technique. But the problem of it was, here you're in a classroom, you're sitting 20 seats back, 20 rows back. You can't see, you're not on top. For me, I got to be on top of it. I got to watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you get back to the same issue. They've done it so many times, it's just automatic for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't say, oh, it's like and that's one thing I'll have to say about myself when I do videos. I try to be very thorough. And it's like when I'm doing Formic Pro on my videos, I say, well, it's the label says this, but what I do is the temperature is 80 degrees and less. And I says, it doesn't say a thing about humidity on there, but I feel it plays a key part when you put that on there. Yep. And stuff like that when I'm doing my videos. And that's the thing. It's like what you're saying, Matt. I guarantee you he filled in the gaps that the other guys didn't because they have done it so much that everybody knows this, don't you know? Well, no, they don't know that.
Yep.
And stuff like that.
So,
and you can read and read and read all you want. Nobody can sit there and write a book and be able to relay the information clear enough that everybody understands what they read. Because I will understand it in this fashion. And if you ask the guy who wrote it, oh no, that's not what I mean. I mean this. Well, that's not what it means to me, the way you wrote it.
Right.
It's, you can do certain things with the English language in written form, but sometimes it just isn't clear. You can't make it clear enough.
Right.
So Charlie, Mark over here in the comments, I want to see what he's saying here. My best advice I can give that will help you is don't try to make me. So you're saying that you already know that colony is queenless. hopelessly
No, Mark,
well, no.
Mark's saying
Queen.
that he'll make that hive get to the point where it wants to swarm. So it's in the mood of
Yeah.
making queen cells, and he's using that mood
Motivation. Their minds are set to do that.
or set.
Yeah.
Their programs, they're wanting to do it. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Because I don't do anything with queens, but that makes a lot of sense. If you can work with what the bees already want to do,
Yeah.
and get in line with what they already are planning,
Right.
you're
So
more
if you do
successful.
a queenless cell builder, then they are going to want to build those queen cells because they are queenless. They want a queen. If you use
Yeah,
a
already
double stream
making-
board,
yeah.
not as much of the pheromone can get up there. So those nurse bees that you have on the top, there's no queen up there with them. They are going to want to build cells. So that, I believe that's what Mark is saying.
Yeah.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what the point you're trying to get across. So, Charlie, when you all come down there for that class, the cell builder will already be made. But in the class is going to set up another cell builder so that you have the hands-on experience of setting up a cell builder.
Well, it's like you were mentioning, and I talked to you, like I talked to Gus Mitchell down there at Nobby, and you were saying about using just a regular queen excluder with the queen on the bottom and the graft on top. And I'm like, is that going to work? Because there's a queen in the bottom. They don't need to make, but like Gus said, he said, well, once they start a project, they want to finish it.
Yep.
I.e. making queen, capping off queen cells and stuff because of the orientation and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is there's a point right there that I never heard of anybody else other than you and Gus. Gus happened to mention it. And I'm like, okay, that's what Bill said, and I'm like, that's another little bit of tidbit of information that needs to be, that you have to kind of know, or if once you understand it, it helps you.
Yeah.
And then so I don't know whether it was Gus talking to me about it, but like if you're using a cell butter, and I know that Bob Binney and also the other fellow there talked about after so many rounds with that cell butter, you need to let that one have a queen and go make another cell builder. Because I guess it was Gus Mitchell said about that when we were eating at the food stands there. He said the bees get to the point where they're demoralized to the point where after 2 rounds or so, they are trying to make a queen and you're keep pulling them out. And then they get to the point where they just, well, the heck with it. We can't seem to get ahead by making queen cells, so we're just not going to make them anymore, I guess.
Yeah, we can get 3, sometimes 4 rounds out of a cell builder, but that's why I'll put a queen in the bottom every now and then, and we'll let that queen stay in there for a week, maybe 2, and then we'll go back to this one and pull the queen out of this one and banker or seller, and then we alternate that queen back and forth.
Mm-hmm. I noticed too you can kind of tell when they're getting tired of drawing, not only because of the progress, but the wax. Yeah, the wax isn't as fresh. That frosting, just pure wax. They're actually taking it from other spots of the hive and kind of moving it around, so it's a little dirtier looking. I found. But the initial run of those should be just perfect looking. But really motivated to make a queen. That's what I found, at least.
But now, what I'm talking about doing this is somebody that's going to set up and sell queens.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a backyard breeder for yourself, Charlie, I was talking about breeder queens the other night. If you're a backyard breeder, you can use an F1 queen. All this will be explained in this class. You can use that first daughter. And she should be fine. But if you're going to set up and to breed queens to sell, you need to breed or graft from a breeder queen. Now, a breeder queen's only going to last you maybe 2, maybe 3 years, maybe 3, before you're going to end up crushing them. So,
Now-
and you've got that queen in between your thumb and your forefinger, and you're looking at her and saying, should I or shouldn't I? And then when you go like that, look at her and say, there goes $500.
$800.
And then
Yeah.
there's Mark
1,000, 1,500.
Mark says
depending
after
on
the
the
fourth
queen.
round, I move it 10 feet and add brood. Okay.
Yep. And
What's
we're always putting in brood frame. Always putting in brood
Yeah, I
frame.
get that, but now moving the 10 feet, I'm asked what does that
That
accomplish?
about.
So they think that they've swarmed and they've moved to a different box.
Even and
All the older bees go back.
are you
you
losing
use
you're
false-
losing the older bees also?
Yeah, the way we do it, all I can tell you is the way we do it. Mark is right. Moving them 10, 15 feet. But what we do is we put that cell builder on the back of a truck, strap it down, and we go for a ride. And when we come back, we set it 10 feet from the location that it was at. We open it up, we let them orient, and then we start dropping cells.
I think you'd be losing a lot of your older bees too, you know, in that sense that they go back to that original location and get out of that cell builder.
Yeah. But you don't want workers in that cell builder.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The older bees would fly out and go back to their, you know, if they were turning forager.
Well, they wouldn't go back to because all they know is that one place.
Yeah. I mean, you could actually set a box there and get those foragers and start putting them in other hives that need bees.
Mm-hmm. Like a catch box of some kind.
Yeah, like a catch box. Because, you know, Gary Stewart, he's saying the right thing. The nurse bees are what makes the queen cells, and they raise those queens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the nurse bees also, I guess they actually have the royal jelly in their head too.
Yeah, they do. So, and the other part about it is you don't want those queens hatching in that cell builder at all. Because if they do, what's that queen's instinct to do? Go around and kill the other queens while they're in the cell. So now let's say you drop 15 cells, one of them hatches out because your timetable was a little bit off. One of them hatches out. She starts killing the other queen cells.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're out 14 other queen cells or 14 other queens that you thought you were going to have, but you didn't write the date down or the time down. So now you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back and harvest them early and put them in an incubator with a curler on them, or we put them in the mating nuke and let them finish out in the mating nuke. When they hatch, they're in there for 3-4 days, getting themselves oriented and whatever they do, and then they go out and they mate.
Yeah, I was having enough fun with it to where I tried to get inventive. I went to whatever it is, Chick Do It or Buckeyes. It's down here by me, but we just got a little egg incubator. You know, I think it was a $15. It just had the heating element, no fan. So then I would get the cells in about probably day 12 or so, 13, 14, a couple days before hatching. I would, and, you know, take an egg crate with some paper towels and pull them out. And I'd take my wet towels and then bring them home in the incubator. And then I started hatching them at the house, you know, and, you know, in the hair roller cages. And I found that to be pretty cool, just in the sense of you could see if that queen was developed fully, you know, if she just looked right, if she had all her fingers and toes, so to speak. Had very many that had a deformity, but there was a few that may not have had a perfectly developed wing, or, was kind of walking a little slow compared to the others that were running around and ready to bulldoze.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those vigor tests, and ultimately you're making those splits. You want to put in a good queen. So, if you can hatch them out a day ahead or, hours ahead or what have you, however you can do it, I find that to be pretty handy too. And also an awesome experience to give her a drop of water and drop of honey for her first meal. It was awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to add mating nukes this year. We've already got 85, so we're going to add about another 20 or 30 mating nukes. And so we're going to be dropping over 100 cells at a time.
Wow.
So we have 10, 12 cell builders that are going to be set up this year. So
I got your private message on that, Steve Clifford. I looked him up, and I seen that video. I thought he was on the west coast of Canada, and I went. It's where he's. He puts 3 frames of comb in the bottom of that box or something, Matt.
Yep. That's it.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, you don't have enough comb in there for the bees to hang on. You don't just, he's shaking bees in an empty box. That didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And then there's another guy I watched. He went to Nobby, I think last year. He went, or either that or Hive Life, one of the two. He's out around Virginia someplace, young fella and his wife. They got a homestead type of thing. And he did the Bob Binney thing. One thing I did find with him, he was doing he started out, he put his graft in the bottom, and he had, pollen and nectar, but he didn't. And I always thought you would put other cap cells in there, emergency, and he didn't. He said that way the bees only had one frame to focus on, and that was that grafting frame.
Yep.
And I says, now there's a tip to the trick. Nobody's ever said that only, don't have any more brood in there, only that grafting frame, and the bees you're going to manipulate the bees to focus on that.
Yes.
And unless you have unless you got hives like Mark does, where they're just double deeps that are horrendously big. And then he put a double screen board in. He put everything else upstairs on this other guy out of Virginia. And I think the queen was up top.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left it there for a day or two. And then he switched everything around. And that's how, and that kind of stuff. And
right, maybe slipped a queen excluder in place of the double screen board.
Yeah, did that.
Yeah. So as far as putting frames of capped brood in there, you can do that, but I would only put one frame of it in there. And when you want to put your grafting frame in the center, your cell frame in the center, and you want honey/nectar on one side and pollen on the other side, because you don't want those nurse bees to have to go very far to get to the food.
And to those, Charlie, like you're talking about those little idiosyncrasies or whatever, I would what I would end up doing eventually after I got through my couple blunders was keep an open brood frame in the place where my graft was going to go, and keep those hypogenial glands working on those nurse bees to be in that location. Yep. When I pulled the open larva frame out, I gave them my grafts, and let's say I was only doing maybe 24 at a time. I mean, nothing major, right? I'm just kind of messing around. So I'd put my 24 in, and they would be in place in that box, or, oriented in that hive where that open larva was. So I found that to be helpful too. I mean, they would jump right on it,
Yeah.
There was never a problem with them drawing out from that point on. As long as I had done everything right, then it was a pretty good success as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you do a queen right cell builder and you put the queen excluder on on top of the bottom box, and then you put your cell builder on top of that,
Mhm.
and your nurse bees will come up. The problem with doing it that way is as those nurse bees graduate to forager, they're going to come up there and start packing honey in it.
Mhm.
So now
Uh,
you gotta pull that one off, full of
Yeah.
honey, and put another box on and set the top part of it back up again.
Yeah, the guy I'm thinking of, his name is Jared, Jared Beekeeping.
Yep,
I don't know whether you know him or not, Bill, or not.
I've heard of him. Yeah,
He's only got about 2, 4, 5, 6, about 7 videos. He's trying to build a bee business and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
but he had one about he says building a beekeeping business from 6 hives. But anyway, he's showing you how he done a cell builder. And that was one thing I think Brad up in Faith Apiaries, he was teaching me last year, and I did a video about it where, if you got a hive that's got a bunch of bees that you need to put them out, put a inner cover or whatever, a board for the bees to walk up, and shake them bees out on the ground and let them walk in. And I always had a question in my mind, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you just open the top of the hive up and shake them in that hive? But it matters about them bees walking up there, and once they're accepted, they'll stay in that hive, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's kind of like a Taranov split.
yeah, but I mean, if it's like you see different beekeepers, they shake them in the ground and the bees will go back into the hive and stuff like that. For some reason, it's like a shook swarm,
Yeah,
as they call it.
yep.
And for some reason, it makes a difference in the bee brains. But but Will, thanks for that guy. I've been trying to find that video forever because I was going to do like Matt there, constantly watch it and watch it and watch it. But even in that video, he doesn't explain why he does what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like to know the reasoning behind something.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put all 10 frames in that box? Why did you only put 3 or 4 in there?
Yep.
And you're shaking all these bees in there, or did you put the frames in and cut it out of the video?
Right.
I don't know.
So the one thing that we found, Matt, is what we'll do is we know that the eggs that we're grafting are a day old. So we know we can go back one day and we write that date down in the book. We graft. We write the graft date down. And then we drop them the same day that we graft. And then we leave them alone for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go in that cell builder consistently, almost daily or every other day or something like that, to check on those grafted cells, they're going to start leaving them alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're not going to do anything with them. So at the 7-day mark, we write the date down and we go pull that grafted frame and shake those nurse bees off of them into the box. And we count how many we have taken on that one frame. And we write that down, we put it back in and go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't disturb them for 7 days.
Now, Nancy,
Yeah.
I used to go to a club website. I'm going to say it might have been Montgomery County in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
where they had a queen rearing grafting spreadsheet where you plugged in the day you graft and you could print it out.
Oh.
And you could have everything lined right there in front of you. They were off for me about a day off, but now that grafting software, they took it off the website or something.
Do you know who that would have been? Scott Famous. Would have had to be. Or Vince Aloyo. It's either one of those two guys, his handiwork there. Either one of them, my guess is. I can text Vince, but
I don't know.
I don't know
Vince.
Scott enough.
Hey,
I don't know
Jimmy.
Scott enough. Yeah, somebody was mentioning over here about 9 queens. Yeah, Gary, I've had that too, and I realized it would always happen after an inspection, and 7 of those queens weren't worth even thinking about. Yeah, I had that happen. Looked like polka dots on my hive. Right before it rained, all these swarms, main swarm came, and then all these after swarms, and they couldn't go anywhere because it was going to rain, so they all stuck to the hive. I wish I'd had pictures. I might.
This guy right here, Jimmy's Neighborhood Bees, I met him down at Farmville, and I told him if I saw him in here, I was going to call him out and get him on screen. So come on in here, Jimmy.
Everybody knows Jimmy. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yep.
I've been watching his stuff too. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you got to have a, what is it?
Yeah,
Mini
they're all
Cooper.
unmated.
He works
Yeah.
on Mini Coopers too.
So Jimmy
fun.
wrote a book, and I forget what the darn, it's quote for the day or something like that. Or
Yeah, quote of the day.
And Jimmy's also a Mini Cooper expert. If you need problems, how to fix one, he knows how to do it.
And he's got videos
Okay,
on it
Hope.
too.
Bill, put on Hope's. Can you click on Hope's message?
Yeah, Clintwood
Or-
Family Farms.
Yeah.
Chitwood
There
Family
you go.
Farms website has a grafting calendar. Yes, it does. It's very widely used. I'll say that.
Oh, then Charlie, maybe that's where maybe it's that one that
That might
Monco picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a grafting and it was good for as long as it lasted.
And Nancy, you had initially had a question, I think, about the frame feeder that I had or was talking
Yeah.
about.
That's right. I didn't know if you covered it or not, but yeah, go ahead. What are you thinking?
If I was speaking of the cap and ladder, the Man Lake version, with the little cap and ladder with the wood block on top, just trying to get away from that, to probably do bucket top or hive top feeder. Just seeing that if I were to overfill some of those, given later in the summertime, I would see a couple hive beetles pop out of it. So I felt like they were getting undefined bees and just an extra area for them to enjoy, and not be corralled and harassed by the, So ultimately, I was trying to get away from that if at all possible. But bucket feeding, I feel like that would take that equation out because they wouldn't be able to hide anywhere, in the syrup feed of any kind, whether it be on the ladder or on the straw or the sticks, anything that's being. So that's what I was in reference to. And then
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Complete sense.
Anything we can do
Yeah.
to keep those little turkeys from having a little place to hide, I find to be helpful, at least.
Yeah, I just started getting hive beetles here. It's not a real problem at my home apiary, but I have some hives closer to the city, and they're a mess. So my tactic right now for them is to just stay out of them, let the bees do, and it's August, September, October. I really have nothing really going on to look in there anyway. I know they're queen, right? Or they were. And if they're not, it's too late anyway. But just leaving them closed up and let the bees keep them healthy and let them deal with the beetles. That's what the level that I'm at here outside of Philadelphia. Now I know that's not a reasonable thinking or way of thinking in other parts of the country, but that's what I'm doing here for now. And then if it gets to where I need to address it more, I'll be asking y'all.
Up, yeah.
So let me show this. Computer.
Is Bob on? Bob. What time is it?
It won't
It's
do
almost
it.
10.
Never mind. It won't do it. Won't pick it
Speaking
up.
of Jimmy's neighborhood bees, his wife was out there, I believe, at the No Life Beekeeper photo at the same time. Probably with, I think Jimmy was in it too, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
No, Jimmy wasn't in it. I got a photo with Jimmy down at Farmville.
Oh, okay. But he was at Nobby though, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jimmy was at Nobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was hanging.
We
He
met
was, he
his
was
wife.
over.
We met his wife in the lobby. Super sweet lady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy was part of the stream team interview that we had.
Okay.
And all
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I think Jimmy ducked out on me.
Not sure.
I told him I was going to do it.
Oh, he's in the picture top. I wonder if he's one of those guys. Remember the other night when we went through everybody, which was cool. I'm glad Philip did that. Was Jimmy one of those guys who didn't quite know who it was?
He may have been. Because I was in the back row looking to the left in the back row. You could barely
There was a
see.
man and wife that we couldn't quite.
Jimmy's got to figure out how to get in here.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out who they were. I bet you that's them.
Yeah, it might have been.
Jimmy, click the link up at the top of the page where it says "Be All Day,"
Oh,
Yep.
there you go.
and then you fill out your name and all that stuff on the StreamYard page.
JW.
And then it says click. I think go into the back room or whatever it is, backstage.
Maybe we did know who they were then. Okay. I was landing in Philadelphia at the time. That picture.
Yeah.
Matt, Tom wants to borrow some Pro Nukes. See that?
Yeah, they're for sale. Also,
Via Honeybees Tom wants to borrow some Pro Nukes.
no problem, Tom. Yeah,
And Matt, you're out there in the same state, or Illinois, is it?
No, I'm in about
Missouri?
30 minutes south of St. Louis. So
I've hit
Tom
Matt.
and Melissa, 30 minutes west of St. Louis, and we're about 30 minutes down, 55 from St. Louis. So they're a little west, we're a little south, but very similar. As a crow flies, we're probably about maybe 15 miles away, straight shot.
Oh, well, that's close.
Yeah, yep, it's really close.
You could put
Matter of
2
fact,
yards between you.
Yeah, him and JW actually flew over, and I'm assuming it's one of JW's planes, but they flew over and waved at me the other day. I knew it was them. It had BIA on the airplane, so I was figuring.
His browser doesn't support StreamYard.
We're really close.
I never heard of that one.
Now, Matt, I don't know if you're kidding or not. Are you kidding?
I'm totally teasing you. JW doesn't have a plane. JW does not have a
No,
plane.
but Tom keeps saying he has planes, and then you said he has planes. I don't know. The guy could have planes for all I know.
We try and tease JW, because it gets his goat, but he does not have a plane.
Oh, okay.
Just record, no.
Now you said Tom says they live on the clean side of the river. What do you mean by that?
JW does too have a plane.
JW calls the Missouri the dirty side of the river.
The MacBook. Well, no wonder, Jimmy. That's the problem. It's one of them things.
It's a MacBook. That's it.
Oh, just come on your phone. Forget that nonsense. Just use your phone.
Yeah.
So much
He's probably
You'd
got
have
an
been in by
iPhone.
now.
He's probably got an
Probably
iPhone.
got an iPhone. That's right.
You'd have been in by now.
JW Force One.
Yeah, it's an iPhone. There you go.
Yep.
I was able to get onto my iPad at one point.
Woohoo.
Probably like splitting the atom.
You got any snow up there, Will?
Yeah, there's just a dusting, but wherever the sun's beating on it, it's going away quick.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same here. Oh, the parking lot out here with all the blacktop, it's pretty much clear.
Yeah.
Ground's got some, the grass has still got a little bit of snow.
Yep. That's where I'm at. I probably got an inch or two in the snow. It's got everything pretty right now, but as soon as you scratch up a little bit of blacktop, it all melts off.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
St. finally got a winter here. We had about probably 8 inches in total, maybe 10 inches, depending on
Yeah,
the
more
drift.
than I did.
Oh,
Pretty good wind. So
Did you get the ice?
yeah. The first round of the storm had a couple inches of ice. After Navi, it started sleeting, and then it turned over to snow. So,
Well, now, did you leave Saturday evening?
my windshield wipers was like 4 or 5. Saturday mid-afternoon. So we
Mid-afternoon?
got home well before all that storm came, for sure. Yep.
Oh, I was wondering because you're
It
going
didn't start snowing
west.
until
You're going west towards the
Yep.
storm, right?
west on 64. Yep, straight west on 64 to the city of St. Louis, and right there and go south on 55. It's 4 hours.
Did
Pretty
you drive
straight
right into it?
No, we were home the night before, so it didn't really come in
Okay.
until later Saturday, early Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Bill, you
But-
left what 10 minutes to 6 or so, and it was starting to snow in Louisville.
Yeah, we left the hotel at 5:45, went over and picked up the trailer. And when we were hooking chains up to the trailer, it was just starting to spit snow that you could see.
Now, was it chasing you down the road, Bill?
It chased me up to Lexington because when you leave Louisville, you gotta go northeast to get to Lexington. And we were kind of headed north, and we ran into one little spurt of snow. It was pretty good up there around Lexington, and then when we turned fully east on 64, we left it behind. But now I run with traffic. I don't necessarily run the speed limit either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I left it the day before, but I still hit snow in the mountains and all that. But anyway, well, pretty much like me and Nancy were talking, we kind of pretty much seen everything we wanted to see when it came to the trade show and all that. And
yeah, we had Wednesday. We had Wednesday night where that really, and then all day Thursday, all day Friday. It was okay to head out. I'm thinking about doing that on purpose next year. Flying down on Tuesday.
I mean, the party was, to me, was the best,
Yeah, for sure.
The big thing of it is we didn't have to hunt everybody at the trade show. We got to see everybody at the party and and everything. And hopefully we can find a bigger venue next year.
And then we get to have some space at the show there. But I'm thinking next year to go down on Tuesday and then have that a rest day and then do the party shindig, whatever, Wednesday. And then whatever came, whatever it's floating around, and I don't know diddly about it, but if he is going to put some classes in with no trade show, then I'd already be there for that. And then plan to head out Saturday morning. One, because it's going to be cheaper to fly because everyone's flying. And two, that's the most expensive night of the hotel is Saturday night.
Yep.
So I thought, if that could cut, I think coming home early cut $300 off my trip by canceling the hotel room, and then I got money back from the flight.
So next year, if they have it at the same place, Tom, myself and Acorn are going to have a super booth. And I'll have some space in there if No Life Beekeepers wants to set up a small booth in there or a small table or something and have everybody come by or whatever. You're more than welcome to do that. I think the space that we're going to set up is going to be equal to what the dance was this year. And it's going to be bigger than Man Lakes.
All right. My question is, all right, what does a No Life Beekeeper booth do? Or what can we do?
Nothing. Socialize. We're going to bring sofas.
The legend.
We're going to bring
Sawmill
sofas,
Charlie will be there to
recliners.
greet the
Is that
public.
where I sit down and do autographs and photographs?
Yeah.
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 We're going to have coolers of water and coolers of Coke.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's
Diet
going
Coke.
to tie Charlie down and be a pain in the butt for him. That's what it sounds
And
like.
we
to
could
me.
run a continuous live while we're there with
Yes.
different people from No Life Beekeepers being on there.
Couches, easy chairs. Yes.
Yeah.
You could
Get a
have a
couple
bluegrass band there, Charlie.
Yeah.
That'd be
A card table.
Yeah,
some
we just have to
chairs.
find a real bluegrass band.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, we could set up, socialization table.
Yeah, we can compete with a stream team.
Exactly.
There you go.
Get Lee,
There you
There you
go.
get Lee to
Hey.
come in.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Because him and Bob did do a little something like that year number 2, I think. Not sure. Do you remember, Charlie?
What's
They were
that?
set up on the wall there. It was Dirt Rooster, it was Horizontal Hives, and then it was Bob and Lee set up a little like a studio type.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
you mean
remember,
Bobby?
right?
Yeah. Down in Hive Life. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
could
Yeah,
definitely
well, Bob and Lee, they had Lee has all the gear and the knowledge, and they had it to where they could roam around the show with wireless and cast and all that stuff.
There you
So
go.
Lee went to bed early already, right? Everyone
Yeah.
saw Lee went to bed. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll just nominate him now that he's not here.
Yeah. Fire department politics.
Is that how you do it? You wait till the poor guy leaves and then you say, "Oh, by the way, you're ahead of this
Yeah.
committee."
Yeah, we could do something like that. That would be
Well,
great.
yeah, it's going to take some planning and some foresight.
Yeah. That's a great idea, Tom. Why don't you head that committee up?
Melissa will hold that up. She's good at that.
No, don't you dare give her any more to do.
Melissa
poor woman alone.
Melissa and my wife Becky are going to be doing the planning for the party next year.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
JW sounds good. I can leave after tomorrow. But your bachelor day. Thank you.
Yeah, we, like I say, the party would be, we can find bigger place and the food situation of some sort. I mean, there's got to be some bigger hotel you can go to the hotel, but the problem with that is the money. They want big money.
Well, the only thing I too want to put out there is maybe we don't have to eat. Like if it's the time of the day that a meal wouldn't be served, just make sure your belly's full before you go, because I'm going to be talking and walking around. I'm not going to want to eat. Like that just
but
was,
that's how we get a free
that was an
space.
inconvenience.
That's how we get a free space, though, right? Because you promise them that you're going to eat there.
Well, right. So no, yeah. So that, but then if there's a place where they say that we have to cater it, we'll just say, well, no, we don't want the food part. Like I don't
Tom,
know.
you're getting a little carried away with the cruise here because I can't tread water that long.
What's Mark say? We could have a class on how to be a
Pop
no.
that up, Bill.
Oh.
Pop that up.
I don't think we need a class.
Blow
on
it
that,
up,
Mark.
Bill. Blow that bee honeybees up. Everybody look at that. There you go.
I got all kinds of ideas. Hives from here is dropping no life dinner, no life social booth, then a week-long life. No, no cruise. No cruise.
Too expensive.
Sounds like youth sports. Next thing you know, you're going to Disney to play.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we could go to Disney.
WV, how close am I to West Virginia? Ugh, I don't know. A long way. 6, 7 hours, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're a long way. You're east
Yeah,
of
I'm
me.
north of Philadelphia. So I don't know. I would go
All the way
west
across
and
the state
then
of
south.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, you go
Or I think I
west,
could go
You'd run the pike.
straight
Yeah.
west.
run the pike all the way across to West Virginia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I could hit West Virginia before I got to Ohio.
Yeah, you
If I
go
played
through
the cards
Wheeling
right.
and then immediately you go into Ohio.
Yeah. So why would
Yeah.
I want to know that? Why do I want to know? Okay.
There won't
Hey,
be any
Melissa,
room
Tom.
for.
Hi.
Ignore the crazy hair.
No,
We've been cleaning house and working on the computer all day.
I hear ya.
That's fun.
Sugar
Oh, yeah.
syrup.
Oh, well, come on down, Charlie. I'll get you a lot of fun, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Be here bright and early and be that chipper too. I got plenty of stuff.
You pushing snow tomorrow too?
No, I'm done. I'm trying to go south if I'm being honest.
Oh,
He's trying to run away for the weekend with JW down to visit Mr. Ed.
Hey,
Oh, that would be great.
if everything
that would be-
goes well, I won't be in Missouri in a couple of days. I'll be down south. Hopefully the weather's better down there.
Oh, that would be neat. You better make videos.
We visited him down there a couple years ago. It was really cool touring the Abbey. If anybody ever gets a chance to go down there and visit him, you should. But yeah, we've been talking on the last couple lives about like next year already, and like what we've only been home a week. And everybody's like, what are we doing next year? What are we doing next year? Like, hold on, let's breathe a second.
Yes, I know. I'll help you, Melissa. I'm not going to let him put anything else on your plate. I'll be your gatekeeper there.
You know, it's not honestly, it's not so bad because it's like once you do it once, it's kind of like plug and play after that, you know, because you've kind of
You got your foundation. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's not so much a big, you know, finding that cruise for all of us though. I may have
You
to
have a year. You have a year.
I'm not sure if I want to be stuck on a boat with JW. He might throw me over the edge.
I think he probably would.
He
I
probably
might throw you over
She
the
might
edge.
throw me over the edge.
Yeah,
Make
Tom,
sure-
I think there's quite a few contenders.
I know, right?
Would be-
Yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty good swimmer, but man, I don't know if I can do, you know, those kind of swims anymore. I don't have that kind of stamina. Hey, Clay. So if you like acorn frames, you need to reach out to Bill. Bill will set you up. Bill had some good prices at his booth. I don't know if anybody went down and paid attention to him, but I had Bill get me a couple hundred frames and we hauled them home. Y'all should check his booth out next year. He's got good products down there.
Yeah.
I brought 2 cases home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I brought some cases home as well.
Yeah.
I bought
I'll tell you,
a couple hundred foundations from Bill too. The Black
Yeah.
Eagle.
They're probably one of my, I mean, I like the Premier stuff and all, and the deep frames I get from a guy locally around here. But when it comes to the Acorn frames, which are what I use in my supers, I like the heavy duty frame that Acorn produces, as well as I'm kind of a fan of, I don't know what everybody else's perspective is, but I like the white foundation so I can see the color of the nectar that's in the cells. And just for reference, all my supers are mediums, and I don't use any of them as a brood source or brood frame whatsoever.
Right.
So they stay as a honey frame.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, having the exact same frames is kind of key because using that automatic machine, you can't throw 6 different size frames in there and expect it to perform the same way. So having the same across the board is pretty important. So when I needed more frames, I immediately went to Bill and said, all right, this is how many I'm wanting to do or add to my collection. And he set me up right away. So it was a positive and great experience with Bill and his wife. They took care of us. And I was happy to pay the reasonable price that they asked for him.
Yeah. Same here.
So Melissa, Becky has already contacted the extension service out there to find out where they have their functions at
Good.
around the Louisville area. So that way she has an idea of costs and size of rooms and everything else.
Yeah, I think we need to find somewhere that's going to seat at least 100. Even if we only get 50 or 75 people, at least that'll give us enough room to move
Yes.
about.
Little
Well,
elbow
judging by
room.
that picture, 100 should be no problem.
Oh yeah, I agree.
We're going to be doing the Sawmill Charlie dance off, so we're going to need plenty of room. He gets that cardboard down on the ground and just starts break dancing. It's all over, folks.
No.
Again,
We're gonna set up
we
a
gotta
dance
find a
floor.
bluegrass band.
We're gonna
That's right.
We're gonna set up a dance floor, and we're gonna have Charlie, JW, and Joey
All right. Sounds
dance,
good.
and then we're all gonna have to vote on, who did it best.
Yep, I like it.
Joey kicks up his heels. I never saw that yet.
Who's Joey?
He has that one video that he's squashing hive beetles and he's stomping on them, and it looks like he's doing like a hive beetle jig.
Oh, the high beat stomp.
Yeah.
Is that Joey Rawls or who?
Yeah, Joey Rawls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Notice we'll
Joey
see
again.
I haven't seen him. Yeah, Clay, we had to log off for a little while. We had a state board meeting we had to do a Zoom with, so we just now got back on. So we did miss that
No,
whole
DC, Charlie does clogging. Charlie's like that's a clogging, DC. Here's videos.
Melissa's full crap.
Melissa's
You need to
full
get
crap.
you
No,
some
she's
capsules
not.
next year, Charlie.
Huh?
What's
You need to
JW
get
getting
capsules
squirrelies?
next year.
his dance moves.
Oh,
JW's got some dance moves.
Yeah, he does.
Matt and I have already signed up for his class.
Seen
his
that
dance
video.
class.
but we
Hey,
saw
Matt.
it, JW. We saw it. We saw it.
You saw it, yeah.
Hey, Matt, he's going to teach us his
Oh.
ways, isn't he?
Hey, I need to learn those moves. I'm telling you, they were.
That's right. We figured if we can get the JW moves, Matt and I, we can really woo our ladies really well with that.
There's no doubt about it. I
Oh,
tried to
please.
replicate it later, but But yeah, JW can really
What
move.
was JW drinking? That's what I
Nothing.
want to know.
Oh,
No,
he was. I think
yeah.
it was.
Yeah. Hey, JW is just a naturally happy guy that just loves life. He doesn't need to drink. He's like me. I
Wasn't
don't
throwing back
need
the
to drink.
sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know, Matt. He was sitting next to you. What were you slipping him a little something in his
Nope,
iced tea?
Nope, just good conversation. That's all. He's quite the fellow. That's all I can say. He's
Yes,
awesome.
he is.
Awesome.
He is. Yep.
Hey, Matt, I thought I told you before, I thought when he popped up, I think I was going to come down there and stomp me into the ground and, and drag me out of the thing and,
He
feed me to the wolves.
So a little background is like Tom's sitting caddy corner, 15 feet away from me, 15 people away. And every time in this restaurant really liked to sing happy birthday. Maybe
There was like 5 of them in that one room we were in.
they all had a different sounding instrument than I've ever seen before. Maybe it was all Cuban type music, but it would, go around. There's probably 5. Every time they came through those doors, I would look at Tom, and like with my eyes, like, and he picked up on it, and he must have sent a silent soldier, let's call it, because he never got up to do it. I know.
It wasn't me.
I was talking to JW.
I was not me, for clarification.
Yeah.
I did not do that.
It worked just like I thought it would. And as soon as JW got it, that music started coming, and he knew what was happening. He turned around, threw his napkin up in the air, and jumped up and started dancing next to the people. Had no idea what was going to happen next, and they didn't know if JW was mad or just so happy. Of course, he was just so happy. Oh boy, it was.
Well, I don't know if he was happy, but he was playing along.
Hey, Matt, that one dude jumped back probably about 2 feet. He thought JD was fixing to smash him.
Too sure what's going to happen, but yeah, there were steak knives on the table, so they were probably scared. But no, he did awesome.
I was scared.
I have to say,
I'm
everybody
class. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Everybody that was in the room that we were in that restaurant, they were highly entertained.
Oh yeah, I think
every
they were.
other table was joining in clapping. So it was a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm sitting in my booth at Nobby, and I was looking at something, and I saw somebody come in and just walked right in the booth like he owned it and sat right down beside me. And I turned and looked, and it was JW. He stuck his hand out. He said, "You know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, you're JW." He says, "All right, I just want to make sure you got to meet me." And we talked a couple minutes and got up and left.
He's a
You got to
mess.
meet me. Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, he's quite the politicker, isn't he, Bill?
Yes, he is. He is a
Yeah.
politician.
He's like a silent politicker.
He is a silent politicker. You hear that,
Yep.
JW? I know he's
Paulo
listening.
ticker.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know he
You
heard
just
me.
make that's a new word. Paulo ticker.
He was on Dodd House. He was on that bourbon honey.
That's right.
No,
We
that
all
was
know it's
that
his
was later
favorite.
in the lobby.
Yeah. But it was a good night.
Yeah.
So how
They
long
were
did you
all
age
good
at
nights.
Nobby,
There was a highlight to every single day that we were at Nobby. It
Yeah.
was amazing. It was great.
How
JW
long
and
did you age at Bourbon Barrel Honey?
90 days.
Okay.
3 months. I gotta go get my barrel.
Yeah, I got to get one too. I got a
A little
There's a-
30. It's a little 30 something. I don't know what. 30. What would it be?
you
Well,
can get a
Not
5
30
gallon.
ounce.
I think you can get a 5, 10, 15. And then I think there might have been one in between. I can't remember. And then it goes up to 52 or 53 gallon.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a true barrel.
The smaller
Yeah.
ones are harder to get a hold of. I will tell you that.
Yep.
Yep.
More.
Now you can buy them and char them.
Yep.
And then put bourbon in them
Wow.
for a couple of months, and take the bourbon out and put your honey in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I got a guy over here that sells them, so I just have to get it's on my winter list,
Mhm.
my things to do during winter.
So there's
So,
a bourbon distillery here in Shenandoah County.
Oh, nice.
mhm.
So I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of one of the small barrels.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think this guy brings them up from down south or wherever, big
Yeah.
bourbon makers, distillers. But I think once I start selling it up here, it's gonna go. So I'm willing
Yep.
to put a little investment behind it
Sure.
of time and money.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely charge
I
for
think
it.
it's good. But then how do you take when do you take the barrel and then like how do you get it in the 5-gallon bucket? Well, or however you bottle.
So
Like how does that work?
so you spin it so the bung is at the bottom,
Mhm.
and then we put a 5-gallon bucket there with one of those mesh bucket screens that
Yeah.
you use when you do honey, because
Yep.
a lot of that char is going to come out when you start let that honey out, and just let it drain into that bucket.
And then okay. Right.
So Nancy, if you can imagine that barrel's on its side, that bung is, in the middle of the barrel. It's not at top or bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do have to watch though, because depending on your barrel, sometimes they do put the bung in the top or bottom. So make sure you get a barrel that has the bung in the side and not in the top
Yeah.
or bottom, because some of the barrels that we got this last time, they did have the bung in the top. So we had to seal those off, and Dom had to drill a hole for a new bung in the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why?
Here, I can go out and show you.
Because the barrel
Why
is
can't
not perfectly flat. It's oblong. And if you have it at the top or the bottom and the bung is on the ends, you have to tilt that barrel up. And if you have it laying flat and it's an oblong barrel, it's all going to settle to the bottom.
For draining.
Hold
I
the
got
bung
you.
and you
I
drain
got you.
it into the bucket.
See, and we
For the
have
draining purpose, not for the infusion of the
correct.
okay. I got you.
And you want it on
I know
its
you
side.
spin
Even
them.
when you store it, though, you want it on its side anyway, so you can rotate it, because you need
Yeah,
to spin that
right.
barrel every couple days.
Do you ever put it on its end and then the
No.
other end?
No.
No.
And we don't fill that barrel all the way up with 50
Right.
some gallons
Right.
of honey, because you want it to you want it to cover more surface area than center.
Surface
That way you're
area.
getting more saturation.
Yeah.
So even in that 50 whatever gallon barrel, we may only put like 30 gallons of honey in it.
Right. The more surface area, the more infusion
Right.
opportunity.
Yep.
We also had a fabricator friend of ours make a stand for it that has rollers on it so that we can easily roll the barrel. So the barrel sits
Fancy.
on the stand and we can roll it. Well, Tom can roll it. That's his job.
The only problem is Bohemia Bees did that, and his honey crystallized in there.
Well, you're only leaving it in there for 90 days. I wonder how long, but even if it does, like, how much is it crystallizing in 90 days? Like,
Depends on how
solid?
cold
Did
it
it
is.
crystallize solid? Because, like, when we take ours out, the moisture level is always really high. So, because it's pulling all that moisture from the wood, right? So, we have to, oh, hi. So, we have to put ours in our bottling tank, our heated
Oh.
bottling tank.
Can you
Yeah.
get him bigger, Bill? Listen to me, all bossy and stuff.
No problem.
Here, I'm
Oh.
trying to hold it in reverse. So there's
Yeah.
the barrel. And I actually made, let me see if I can get it right. Can you all see that really well?
Hang on.
It's
Hang
kind
on.
of a big,
Click
Hold
on
on,
the
Tom. Hold on,
click
Tom.
on
One
the
second.
square on the photograph
Bill's
on the
trying to
bottom.
put you on big on the screen. Hold on.
What'd you say, Charlie?
See Tom's photograph down in the bottom of the main screen.
Oh, okay.
There's a square there. Click on the square in that little photograph.
Yeah.
There
I'm
you
still
go.
There
learning.
you go.
I'm
Okay,
still
Tom.
learning.
All right, Tom, go ahead
okay,
now.
so this is the barrel roller itself. If you can see, there's
Yeah.
actually these casters in 4 spots, and I've got a framework here that that the barrel sits on. So that's a 53 gallon drum right there. And actually, this barrel doesn't have. There should be a bung in the center of one of these big slats, but this barrel, you can see it doesn't have one in there. So what I have to do is, it's
That's-
right here.
That's
It's right here. I'll have to seal this one up,
Yeah.
and then I'll have to re-drill it in the center of one of these slats right here. But this is how mine sits. So, again, if you imagine filling this thing up, I mean, and I don't fill it all the way up. It would be, I only fill up about 20 or 25 gallons in this thing at a time whenever I do it. But I actually have 2 of these. A friend of mine who's a fabricator actually made me one of these, and I liked it so much I had to make me a second one. So that's kind of how it works for us anyway.
But I got a question for you. So looking at your situation, you're going to have to put what, 5-gallon buckets underneath there in the center?
Yeah, that's right. So that
wouldn't it be easier to do it on the end down the, like, up 3 inches from the bottom on the end, and then just give a lot more space to move 5-gallon buckets in and out?
Well, I can, but here's the thing. If I have the bung in here, I can roll it down to start letting it come out, or I can roll it back up to stop it from coming out. And then I can get another 5-gallon bucket, put it underneath there, roll it back down where the bung is where the liquid comes out the bung again. And then when it fills up, I can roll it back up again, and I can keep doing that with my 5-gallon bucket. So if I did it on the end in one spot, I'd have to get under there. I'd have to pick it up and tip it up and hold it there to get it all to run out. So right here, by the time, because these barrels have this convex to them, I can roll this thing where the bung actually goes down to the very bottom underneath here. And then I can just leave the bucket under there with a strainer and just walk away from it. So it doesn't require any time for me.
Whoever has those V-shaped extractors.
Yeah,
and
and
you could
actually
put a drain, a quarter turn valve in that thing, Tom, and drain the honey that way.
Woohoo! Fancy.
We only use those barrels once. So once we use them, we get rid of them. Yep. So
That's
it's not really worth
barrel.
putting the work into it.
I had gotten it. A friend had got me a bourbon honey. I haven't opened yours yet, Melissa, but a friend had got me a jar like that, and it had little bits of the burnt barrel in the bottom, just little itty bitty bits, but it just made it so authentic.
Yep. So
You
ours
know?
will have those little bitty black
On the screen, Bill.
specks in it. And actually,
Yeah.
so we entered that into the honey show last year and this year. Last year it got second place. This year it got third place because one of my jars was not filled correctly. My fault. But anyway, last year because they give you comment cards, which is one of the reasons I love entering stuff in the honey show, because they give you, even if you don't
Yes.
ribbon, you get a comment card. But it
Mhm.
said, when you do infused honeys, you have to leave a description card also. And I didn't disclose what those black specks were. So if I would have
Oh.
disclosed what those, even though they knew, because it's
Right,
bourbon honey,
right.
I didn't
It was an
disclose that.
assumption.
So
You
it
left
got,
an assumption.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so ours does have those black specks in it too. And it does, it adds some like authenticity to it, right?
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, it tastes really great. I tasted it the other night.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love
So
it.
DC
And I don't
asked
like bourbon.
Yeah, I don't either, but I like that bourbon honey.
I've never been a bourbon. I don't like bourbons, but yeah, it was good.
So DC asked a couple questions. Why do you only use them once? Well, because in theory, if I put the honey in there and it's soaked everything out of that barrel for 90 days, there may not be as much left for the next batch to absorb. It might be a little less, the flavor might be more muted. So that's why we only use them once. And we've actually had other barrel shops in St. Louis wanting to buy those barrels from us after we use them, because then they want to put bourbon back into them and finish their bourbon in the honey barrel. So
Hey, that's not a bad
That,
idea.
Ooh.
that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to
Or
me,
you-
I'm not a bourbon drinker, and I'm like thinking that's a great idea. The
So
other
when
thing
you-
is it's a consistent product. So if you say, you only use the barrel once, your product to the consumer is going to be more consistent than, say, the second, the third, the fourth filling.
yeah,
And
probably
you
right.
want your customer to become acquired. It's McDonald's theory, acquired to that taste. So I think that's a good principle, unless you would label, first round, second round, third round, but I don't know, people would really even.
Well, how about you put the fifth in there and soak the barrel for a while?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would likely work.
Huh?
That
Well,
would
then
likely
you're
work.
then you're adding more moisture into the honey though too. So you're not
what I'm
You
getting
could put
at,
a whole lot of
pour it
put
in
a
the
whole lot of
barrel
bourbon.
and rotate the barrel around for so many days with whiskey in it, and then pour that out.
Yeah.
And it
It
would
sounds like
soak-
somebody's going to need a liquor license to me.
Nah, because you're not
No, you're not making
you're not selling the liquor. The liquor
long
is
as you
being
drink it all
absorbed by the
yourself.
wood.
selling the honey.
So let me put it to you like that. Like you'd have to, if you did that, you'd really have to wait a long time to use that barrel till that alcohol really dried out, because even those barrels that we used were dry, because that honey pulls so much moisture out of that wood. What was that honey was measuring like 22, 23%,
It wasn't that high. It was only like 20.
Wow.
21%.
It was
It was 21 or 22% when we pulled it out. So it took at least a week, so if you're going to add liquor to that and, take it out, whatever, there's still going to be that residual liquid content absorbed into the wood that honey is going to draw out. So that's just going to add even more moisture content to your final product, and you're going to have to dry it down for even longer.
Yeah,
So
like
you have
DC
to dry
says-
it down.
DC's got a good comment on there. See that one there, Bill?
And so
Nasty.
when,
Because it would be
go up higher.
fermented.
Get 2 comments up.
For what?
Yeah, so like DC says here, when they're aging bourbon, the bourbon sits in those barrels for a very long time.
Yeah, it sits there like 10 years or something.
Yes. Some of those can be aged for several years. Now, the
Yeah.
barrels that I'm probably using are not probably quite that long, but I would bet they're probably at least a year or 2, maybe 3. So, it takes a long time. And believe it or not, when you do put that honey in there and it has a lower moisture content, over time, we're only doing it for 90 days, but toward the last, I'd say, few weeks of that barrel's starting to leak honey out of it. So I mean, you could if you wanted to. I've never tried it. I just open my garage doors and I let the bees clean it up, and they do it in part of a day. But you can actually I've heard people say you put wet cloths over the barrel so that the wood absorbs a little moisture and it seals back up, because all those slats in the wood barrel, they're not glued. They're just held together by pressure. So that's what keeps them from leaking. So when you're taking that honey and it pulls the moisture out of whatever that wood is in there, it causes the wood to shrink slightly and then it leaks on you. So
when we start, our honey is usually around like 17.6-ish, I would say.
Yeah. So if you had some honey that was really dry, that'd probably be better. Get it really dry first and then put it in there, because the moisture content will go up at least a few percent depending on how much moisture is in there. And I would imagine if I aged it for 180 days, I'd have to figure something else out a little bit, because it will start leaking on you pretty good.
You can take beeswax and seal those cracks, because the brewery up here in Tom's Brook comes to me to get blocks of wax.
Okay.
And what they do is they heat it up and rub it on the barrel, and it seals the cracks in the wood.
Yeah.
Well, it's usually the staves shrinking up. It's the cracks between the staves
That's what
is
he's
where
saying.
it's leaking
Yeah,
out.
that's what I'm
But
talking about.
I got better use for my wax. This is out in the garage. If it was in my basement, maybe I'd consider that. But we do this in the garage.
Right.
And they also
Right.
use beeswax to seal the corks on the bungs too.
Yeah.
I actually use some thread tape.
For the bung.
Help me out, Bill. What am I thinking?
The Teflon tape.
Teflon. Thank you.
Teflon tape.
Yeah, thank you. Teflon tape.
Yeah.
That's what I used on it, because, like I said, I had to drill, and on that barrel too, I'll have to drill a bung in the center of the slats. I'll take the one on the end and I'll seal it up.
Yeah.
But it's been working well for us.
Yep.
The word did not want to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's getting late. It's 10:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna come off stage and I'll stay in the chat, but I'm gonna start getting ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. And I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Don't forget, smash that like and subscribe button. It helps us all out in the long run. And I will see you Friday night on Charlie's Chat. And we're here to answer your questions and give you good advice from our experience. And we hope to see you again. So, night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.